Yeah, we're live. Okay, cool. Good afternoon, everyone. Super excited to be starting the Monday message off. Steven is traveling this week. He's actually currently on a flight, so he's unable to be in the studio today. But I'm going to be kicking it off. We have a very, very exciting call today. We have a very special guest on, and you saw the message, so I'll leave it to her to introduce herself. But no, we're really excited to get things going with the call today. I'm going to go over a few numbers, and then we're going to get to the really exciting content that Erynne has prepared for us. She just did it recently at our boot camp, and it was so good. Steven said, "Hey, can you do it again?" so that we could get it for our team. So we're super excited to hear from that. I have a couple of numbers we're just going to share from our team from this last week. So I'm going to do that as quick as I can so that we can give Erynne as much time as she needs. So let's get right into it. So weekly summit last week. These are some of the numbers we're looking at. Again, these are the numbers that are for people who have posted their numbers through our website through the Discord. We don't get great data from the Alliance, but also just from the carriers at the moment. There's a lot of transitions going on from the way that they report numbers, so we don't get really good information. So the best way for us to kind of recognize the numbers that you guys do submit would be through the Discord server and filling out that form to send in to us at the end of the week, because then we can get a good idea of really where you're at for the week. So please remember to keep doing that because we want to recognize you guys for the work that you are doing. But to start things off, we have Kath here submitting a policy for $510 AP. Number 15, we have Miguel with $1,434 over two apps. We have Sarah for $2,003.02 over two applications last week. Josh coming in with $2,588.58 over three apps last week. Katrina with a little over 2,600 for over two apps. Steven, big boss man himself, 2,700 last week over two apps. Henry G with a little over 2,700 over two apps. Jeanette with 4,200 even. That's awesome for two apps last week as well. And then Janet at number 8 with $4,324.84 over four applications. That's awesome. Sabrina Floyd popping in there with one policy for $4,438 AP. That was a big premium. Mallory here with $4,991.97 over four applications. Gara himself with $5,333 over four applications. Mimi Romero with $5,655 over five applications. Bo here, as we call him, $6,132 in over one application. That's a big policy. And then we have Mark at number 2 with $6,504 over four apps, and special guest herself, Erynne Wilson, with $6,677 over nine applications just last week alone. It's awesome. So now let's get into the top five for last week. So number 5, we have Adam Burge with $6,879.17 over six applications. Rogers and Kim Strotter with $7,095.49 over five applications last week. Now we're getting in some bigger numbers here coming up soon. Gina with $7,795 over two applications last week. And Jeremico Edwards, $8,548 over 11 policies. I mean, it was working last week. Mercedes with $12,600 over two applications, and she's been doing a lot of the new IULs that we've been seeing a lot of with the new IUL leads that we're doing here. So she's clearly having some really great results. I think last week she did a little over 20,000 APs, so she's following it back to back each week. So she's killing it. Way to go. Now let's get into, well, if it'll show up, the top 5 paychecks from last week. This is my favorite slide. This is numbers in the bank. So Bo last week with a paycheck for $8,570.91. Mark with $9,097.65 deposited. Nick Greco, $9,939.35 deposited last week. And Adam Burge, oof, that's a pretty nice little margin there that you got there. Adam Burge, $13,352. Just looks like there's a little typo, but last week alone that he got deposited. And then we have Jennifer at number one for last week with 13,000, just beating Adam a little bit with $606 and 57 cents deposited last week alone. So those are some of the numbers I wanted to go over. We do have the Freedom Leaderboard too. So contracting, our base shop here, looks like we had four fast tracks and four contracts. Again, I'm sure a lot of you guys have numbers. Again, the best way for us to see that is this, if you report those numbers each week to us, that's the only way we're going to be able to see a lot of that data, especially too, because a lot of the other carriers that do send us, it's usually a week behind. So if it's your policies that you're submitting or if it's recruiting, a lot of that data we just don't get. So please submit it each week so that we can see that, because we want to recognize the work that you guys are doing. So please continue to remember that. So those are the numbers that I have for this week. Like I said, I'm really excited just to listen to Erynne and to hear what she has to share with us again, because the training that she did, the boot camp was amazing. And so for us to be able to hear it again and to be able to have it, super excited for that. So Erynne, I'm done with everything I needed to share. So I'm sure. Oh yeah, you're here. Perfect. I'm gonna turn it over to you. If you need anything from me, I know I have a couple things to share. So just let me know when you want those. I'll share them for everybody. But I'm gonna leave things in your hands and I'm gonna shut up. So it's all you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. And that boot camp that I attended was amazing. It's just always learning. So, for those who don't know me, I'm Erynne Wilson, live at West Georgia, and I'm on Mike Garrett's team. Very thankful for this opportunity. It's been January was the year that I've been in the company, but the presentation that I spoke on was in-home tactics. So, kind of what am I doing in home to increasing my numbers for policies? So, I'm going to kind of go over three different things. The most important is, of course, we know building the why, building the rapport. But once that is done, we're going to talk about two different types of clients. One that they already have life insurance, what to ask, what to do. And then the other one that does not have life insurance. So for each one, the main questions that we need while we're in home, especially calling and learning with your upline, is medical questions. So once we decide that, okay, we're going to go with the one who does not have life insurance. So we need life insurance. We built the why. We know it's important, but we're new into this. We don't know what carrier. We need to call our upline. And this is my preparation. This is just how I learned. And I still do it to this day. So, medical questions, you want to go into detail of date of birth, age, make sure that's correct, height, weight, and then any diagnosis and what prescriptions. Now, as you're doing this, always just re-verify with them why you're doing it. You're wanting to find the best coverage. This is so important to have in place that we want to go for immediate coverage and get the best that we can for the premium and the goal of whatever they need, cremation or burial. So I always go head to toe. I ask questions too, repeated, because sometimes they forget about something that happened over 20 years, cancer. If I think they're very, very healthy, my first thing is Mutual of Omaha, IUL Express, but just re-ask, okay, so no cancer, 10 years, 20 years, you just want to make sure that we're leading them in the right direction. So as I'm writing down their diagnosis and their prescriptions, I always have them get their bag of prescriptions. I want to look at the name and I want to Google it because a lot of times they do not know why they're taking it. So be as detailed as possible with dementia being in the head, your heart, congestive heart failure, heart disease, COPD, asthma, liver. I mean, just keep asking. And then as you're looking at the prescriptions, I always joke, I'm not a pharmacist. So let me just look up and make sure and just make it casual and light because they know you're not a pharmacist and they hardly know why they're taking the medicine. So just don't feel pressured when you're looking it up. You just want to make sure you're leading them in the right direction. Now, anybody on my team that's my upline, I have them in my phone saved as senior underwriter. So Mike says Mike, senior underwriter. Because when I call them to verify, have it on speaker, they're going to be able to see that name. And I don't want it to be a long time ago when I first met him, Mike, Arcadia's husband. I want to look as professional and I like to be as open as I can when I do call them and being on speaker. So before I call them, I got my prescriptions, I got my diagnosis, I built the why, I know what they need. I build up Mike. I said, listen, we have so many different options, so many different carriers. Mike, our senior underwriter, he knows medications and diagnoses more than me because that's what he does. Let's just call and verify and make sure we're on the same page to see what coverage is best. They're fine with it. Call, and I did this from day one, so I had no idea what I was doing, but that just made me feel more comfortable calling him because I was very uncomfortable not even having an idea to use the Alliance app of underwriting grid. So once I get him on the line, now I'm building up the client. Hey, this is Miss Wanda. I'm so glad we met with her. She does not have life insurance. She knows the importance of it. We're needing something for burial. It is so important and critical that we find the best coverage for her. And I just wanted to run over her medical history and diagnosis to see what you think is best. And then I go into detail of all her medications, her diagnosis, her height and her weight, and then the goal of what she needs. And that's letting you learn in home what to do, but still having confidence of when you call your upline. And again, I have it on speaker, make it casual, build each of them up. And so now they're comfortable. And a lot of times they're so thankful when they're talking with Mike or Rachel, whoever my upline is that day that I needed help with being in home. So also, I think we have question. I don't know, Chandler, if we do questions and answers that they can do, but I want to make sure as I'm talking, they can feel free to ask questions or we can make time at the end of the call.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
we're streaming onto YouTube, so I'll keep an eye out and see if there's any questions, and I'll put them in chat here for you.
okay, please. Okay, good. All right, so that's just your basic one without life insurance. The most important part of that, just like it's going to be for the next finding the right um, policy for them, is just being as detailed as possible with the prescriptions, why they take them, and then calling your upline. Now, for the clients that do have life insurance, the way I was taught, the way I implemented it is if they have it, definitely build up saying, I'm so glad you have it. That is amazing. I'm so glad. Let's not even look at anything else right now. When's the last time you had your policy verified? A lot of times they don't know the name of it. They can't even tell you when it was verified. So build the why of why it's important to have verified policy every year, every 6 months, at least every 2 years. And if they can't find the name, ask them to look at your last statement because if you're paying for a policy and you don't even know the name of who your policy is with, how do you know if your beneficiary even knows? So when I'm asking these questions of, who it is, I want to make sure, look, this is so important. You're paying for this to be in place. We want to make sure the beneficiary's right. We want to make sure your beneficiary knows who to call. God forbid that day comes to call to have that death claim paid out. And once we get that name, let's just go ahead and call them, verify all this, and let's have them send you out a duplicate copy. So then you have an update summary, and then we can have an extra copy made to give to your beneficiary. And when they hear that, they're more open and understanding the importance of why we're verifying it. And then, Chandler, this is where I want to bring up those questionnaires because everybody's policy is going to be different, and you're not going to know what to ask until you have them on the phone. So let's just pretend it's Globe Life. Okay, Miss Wanda, Globe Life. Let's call them. We're just going to see what type of policy it is, make sure it's correct with what you remember it being, make sure the beneficiaries listed, the address hasn't changed since it's been 10 years since you've even taken it out. And then we'll have a duplicate copy sent out. Okay. I put it on speaker, very casual about it. And when I'm calling, I introduce myself as I'm Erynne, a family representative, Miss Wanda Battle. We have questions about her policy. We don't have the number. We're not sure if it's whole life term. Can you just please educate us? And then most importantly, we need to have a duplicate copy sent out to Miss Wanda. Now, when I'm on the phone with the insurance company, I kind of act lost because I don't want them knowing I'm an agent. I want them to know we have a concern, we don't have a policy number. I want Wanda to feel concerned. We need to know this information because it is important. Because if she doesn't know it, again, how does her beneficiary know even who to call? So that allows me to get more information because the moment they suspect as an agent or replacing, they'll cut you off. So just be a family representative. Please help us out. We're a little confused. We don't have a policy number. That's how you want to go about the introduction of um, figuring out the policy. So they'll ask Miss Wanda verification. Okay, you still live here. This is your last four of your social. Now, do you give permission for Erynne to speak on your behalf? Yes, I do. All right, Miss Wanda, again, we're going to ask these few questions. The first thing you're going to ask is what type of policy does Miss Wanda have? So it could be a term, it could be a whole life, or it can be a universal life. Once you have that, then you're going to have these lists of questions that are on the screen. And I had these on my phone. So at the very beginning, I didn't remember any of these questions. I mean, I was so overwhelmed. I don't know, and you're nervous, you just don't want to mess up. So when I would have it on speaker and I had my phone, I would just be like this talking. She doesn't see my phone with all the questions on it. And I would go to term. Okay, these are the questions I'm going to ask. And I'm going to write everything on the lead so she can see it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take notes for you, Miss Wanda, and then I'll make sure you've got this. So pretend it's term with globe, which is 99% of the time what they have. What is the policy number? When was the policy issued? What's the face amount? I don't go right into the rating. I go straight in after those first three. I go into who's the beneficiary. Now, will we be able to receive a duplicate copy? Okay. Now, when we talk about the premium, what is the premium? I'll write that down. And I say, is there ever going to be an increase to this premium? Yes. Oh my gosh, when is that? All right. When's the next increase? When's the next increase? I keep writing every single increase. And I say, so when does this policy end? And I get all that information because a lot of times they think their term life was a whole life. And when they hear their premiums increasing, they're shocked and they're freaking out. And then I say, it's okay. We're going to get this figured out. Whole life, very important as the main basic questions where we can figure out how we can replace this one. A lot of times, if it's a whole life, they don't remember a loan being taken out if there was one. Always ask, is there a loan? If there is, what's the amount they took out? What's the amount to be paid off? And then the current cash value and what's the reduced paid up. Now, this is 90% of the time where I'm able to help someone out. If they have a whole life that does not have a loan, the premium is perfect, they have the coverage they need, but they're wanting to add a little extra or whatever issue I can just see when I call Mike or my upline is the reduced paid up. A perfect example, I had a guy, I think he was like 67, 68, 2 weeks ago. His whole life was from 2017. The premium, I wouldn't be able to beat. I think it was for like $8,000 for, let's say, $58 a month. I know there's not anything I could beat from when he had that taken out to now. And he did want more coverage because he wants burial. So we know 8,000 is not going to do the trick. Well, when I call Mike, after I gather this information, I'll explain what we did. But I wouldn't have known how to do it if I did ask what the reduced paid up value is. So knowing all of this is seeing, is there a better situation we can put them in for replacing it or adding policy to what they already have? So with his case, he had a whole life, 8,000, like 57. We want to add, but instead of just adding another, 8,000, we're trying to stick to a budget. Because we requested the reduced paid up, we were able to let him pay maybe $30 more a month to get $10,000 more coverage to have two policies and one premium versus adding. So with the reduced paid up value, that takes the policy, you're not paying into it anymore. We're adding another policy for not much more than what he's already paying instead of having two premiums that's usually 40, $50 more. And that's what helped replace it. And I think it ended up to be like $87 premium versus a $30, $26 one. Um, so when you're looking at term or whole life with these questions, you want to take all the information down and see in whatever situation it is to benefit that client. Now, Chandler, if we scroll down, I think, or the next page for, yeah, universal life. Universal life is great, but a lot of them that I'm running into back in the day, they weren't set up correct, where we set them up to be guaranteed. They can't outlive. They're not taken away from their cash value. They're not going to lapse on themselves. So this is a tricky one. So looking at this questionnaire, what's the policy number? When was the policy issued? The face amount? I don't really care about the rating right now. You can ask that. What's the current premium? What's the current surrender value? This right here, 7, 8, and 9, you want to ask those questions and make sure you see what they're paying. And is this the minimum, the middle, or the maximum? Because a lot of them, they're paying minimum, which means their cash value is being eaten by the cost of the insurance and the interest of the insurance. Current cost of insurance, that goes up every year. So I always ask, what was their guaranteed? What was on their last annual statement for this policy? A lot of times they'll give you a hard time. And if they're not able to answer anything, just say, have them email your client the most updated illustration to show you how long is this policy guaranteed to last. They can tell you, you see right here, but a lot of times they'll give you a hard time because they're not wanting you to see that it's going to end. So just keep pushing, get all the information, and call your upline because that's the way you'll learn. So when they have a policy, and we're going to go back to the basic where Miss Wanda had a term. She thought it was whole life. We found out it's a term. She heard all the premium increases. I get off the phone. I still ask for a duplicate copy to be mailed out because that's what I told Miss Wanda. She needs to know it. We need to know the policy number. God forbid something happen in between now and when we can get her approved with another insurance for whole life. But once I get off the phone, I ask her, I said, Miss Wanda, you know, you thought this was a whole life. Are you okay with these premiums increasing? Well, of course not. No, I mean, I had no idea. And then it ends at age 80. Then I go into, okay, so if there's something that we could find in your budget that's permanent, premiums aren't changing, the face amount stays the same, you can't outlive, is that something that we can put in place today? Well, yes. All right, so we don't want to do anything with this policy. Miss Wanda, I'm glad you have coverage. I'm glad we found out these surprises that aren't very helpful to us. We can resolve them. We're going to get something in place. Once we're approved, then I will help you turn around and cancel that policy. But every second, we want to keep you insured. That makes them feel comfortable where they're not going one day without coverage. You don't want to just cancel it and then write, and then we can't get approved first application we put in. So just reassure them we're going to put an application in. It may take one or two. We're going to get approved. Then we'll turn around and remove this one. Now, today's the 18th. I always say, when's your original draft date for your current policy being drafted? Oh, it's the second of every month. Perfect. So what we're going to do is when we put this application in, if that's okay with you, because we have time, let's just keep the draft date the same. That keeps you in check with your bill, your financial schedule. I like to keep mine changed. I don't want to add another date to keep up with. You're used to when that's being drafted each month. So we'll put in there April the 2nd. That gives us time to get approved and also gives us time to remove that policy with Globe. Is that okay? And it's easy transition. With whole life, what you want to make sure if it's a loan, oh my God, you have that loan. Did you don't remember about it? If there's something we can put in place that's the same premium, same coverage, we may can get a better premium, more coverage. Would you want to look into that? So then we're not worrying about that loan. And then whatever's left over after that loan's paid out, we can ask for that cash surrender value and you may get, a couple of $100 back. Was that something you would want to look into? Because paying that loan off, if it's not done soon, the interest keeps growing. And God forbid something happens and that loan's still present, that's going to deduct from your face amount. If it's $10,000 policy, we don't have room to be deducted from that, especially if she wants burial. I mean, burials average 15,000. So these are just detailed questions you want to ask to make sure they understand, like, is this benefiting you or can we better your situation and put an application in? And then I do the same thing, reassuring them, all right, Miss Wanda, we're not going to get rid of this whole life. We know it has a loan. Let's apply you for one, hopefully no more than one application. But if not, we have many options. We can find something that you can get approved for, immediate coverage, most importantly. And then when we get you approved, we'll turn around and replace this one. So you just want to walk them through the steps so that they understand we found a problem, we have a solution, but it's an easy fix because it can be very complicated. But as long as you reassure and guide them, then they know and they can trust. So that's my transition from I like to see people have a policy because I know there's a problem. I think I've had I think I said five clients I've had insurance that haven't been a problem that I needed to replace out of the 1 year, a little over a year that I've worked. And I like to better someone's situation knowing we verified it because there's always something wrong. I've had people's date of birth wrong. I've had beneficiaries not even listed. I had a 1992 policy. Oh, that's my brother. Never listed. If we never called, that death claim would have not been paid out. So you're doing right by them. And most importantly, if you can't get a sale from it, that's confidence you built. You may can add on if you can't beat the policy or a referral because you know you've done right by them and you feel better that you've served them where no agent's going to go in there and be that detailed. And yeah, it can be time consuming, but it pays off because you're doing the right deed. I want to make sure. Here, I think, let's see. Okay, so the question list. Honestly, I got that a year ago. I think it is on the Alliance. If not, everybody just take pictures of these two screens and just save them in your phone. That's what I did right when I started. I don't even remember. I think Miss Rachel sent them to me, but I will look. And then it's right here. Ask, are all policies under Social Security true billing? What do you mean? Like, that's the only way they can find is under their Social Security number? I'm trying to understand what that question is. Okay, thank you. Because I'm so sorry. I'm so interactive. I just want to make sure it's a lot of detailed questions and things that I'm going over. So I want to make sure everybody feels comfortable. But if it's still your first time in the home, you're still so new, or you've never verified a policy, just keep even if you have to make a list for medical questions, just write it out, take a picture of it, put it in a little album in your phone. So when you pull it up, you can read step by step and you're staying in order because a perfect example, I guess I was thinking I was getting comfortable and there was a policy, a lady had a loan on and I never asked and I knew we could beat her premium, but she was in a rush and I guess that got me off and I shouldn't have it. But when I got off the phone with the insurance company, I asked, did she have any loans? And she said yes. And then I knew I could beat it. But because she was in a rush, I got off the insurance company. We didn't go into details about how to pay the loan off. That would have been the easiest fix and sell, but I lost it because I didn't go through every question because I just went by my scattered memory. So just have a structure and a routine that works so you remember and you don't leave anything off. Um, Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, it's in the art. And I know I saw it at the bottom of it. Hold on. Let me look one more time. But I label my little album appointment questions. So then I know exactly where to go to and I don't look lost.
Also, I think we may have answered that question because Lewis sent in another question that kind of explains it more. They're asking about when you can choose their draft date and if it has to like coincide with their Social Security. So I think they're asking if
Oh,
the draft date, if it has to be with the Social Security. So but I think we got that one answered in
oh,
the.
okay. Yeah, no. I just tailor it to them. Yeah. Because some people with their social security, yeah, they sometimes they want it the second Wednesday of every month. Yeah, just tailor it to what they're already doing and works for them. Okay. Yep. And it is on the arc. So definitely look there. If not, take these pictures. So um just the overview is like I said, the more detailed you are before you call your upline, the more helpful they're going to be able to be and faster. And then the more confident you'll be in the house and on the phone. Because when you're starting out, you really think, oh my gosh, how is it okay that I'm going to call them? Like they just say, go in the home and just call me. It just does not seem right. But when you do these steps and then you edify your upline and just build that rapport and say, listen, he's busy, but I know we can call him. This is what he does, underwriting. I don't do medical. That's his job. And I want to make sure what care we put you with is correct because they look at your medical records. You just build that up. And like I said, you learn a lot. You take those notes. They are very appreciative because they see that you're taking your time finding this out and getting the best for them. And it is uncomfortable at the beginning because it just seems so abnormal calling from in home the way we see it. But they do not see that. So just stay confident, stay organized in that. And then just at the end of the day, how can you help them instead of just adding? Like it is so important to stress like I said earlier, if they have a policy, why it needs to be updated and use stories. I mean, I don't know if y'all have any of your own, but you could use mine. I had a client that had one policy that was from 1992, and when we called the beneficiary wasn't right. The policy, the date of birth's not right, or found out there was a loan and had no idea. I mean, just it's so important because there were so many surprises that that death claim would have not been paid out. And then just to recap, when you're calling them, and then it's even easier at the beginning because you really need them to help you understand a term versus a whole life. It's okay to ask confused because the client's comfortable. They're realizing, okay, they need to figure this out. And you are a family representative. Never say agent because then they won't give you any information. Um, I mean, that's pretty much all that I spoke. Please reach out to me. I can give y'all my number. I'm on Discord. I just want to be as helpful as I can and making sure if there's any other detailed questions or later on after y'all take notes today, moving forward with appointments, I'm available to help because I want to make sure it's just accessible of verifying a policy correctly to help them replace it or reassure it's the best. And then if they don't have insurance, make sure it's easily applied the first application because we did our history correctly with the medical. Just always look at medications because I've had many people in home not know that and they think they're about to write them with Mutual of Omaha when it's about to be guaranteed because a heart medicine that they took the client's word that it was blood pressure and it's heart disease. So you're helping them understand why they're taking the medication, not taking their word on it. Anything else, Chandler? I just want to make sure.
I can't think of anything else right now. I mean, that was all awesome. I mean, I have a lot of notes here for myself, and then the chat. Everybody's been very helpful, been finding those lists and everything. So
Thank you.
that was perfect. So I think everybody's got all their questions answered. And no, you explained everything very, very simple, which was perfect for all of us to really understand. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Erynne mentioned, right, she's on the Discord and we're all on the Discord. So if you guys ever have any questions, if you reach out there, we can all see it. So Aaron or anybody here in the staff or anybody we can all help each other. So let's
Yep.
help each other. So
Hmm.
any questions you guys have, feel free to reach out. But Erynne, again, thank you so much for hopping on. Really appreciate
Yeah.
your time. Um,
No, I was so honored. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I think that's our call for today, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. I know we got a busy week, so we won't hold you too long. So let's get at it this week, and we'll see y'all next time.
Mhm. Bye.